All right. Today we are jumping into a really fantastic story called A Letter to God by G.L. Fuentes. And let me tell you, it's this powerful tale all about faith, human kindness, and oh man, an unforgettable twist of irony at the end.
I mean, really think about that for a second. Have you ever trusted someone that completely? It's that kind of absolute, unquestioning belief, which is pretty rare, right? Well, that is the very heart of the story we're exploring today. It's all about a man whose faith was so powerful, he decided to write a letter and mail it directly to God. Okay, so let's meet our main character. His name is Lencho. He's this honest, super hardworking farmer, and his house is the only one in the entire valley. It's just sitting there, right on top of a small hill, looking out over everything, especially his precious fields. Now, Lencho, he knew his land like the back of his hand. He'd watched his cornfields grow, he'd seen the flowers blossom, and he just knew a fantastic harvest was on its way. He spent his whole morning just looking up at the sky because he knew that a good, solid rain was the only thing standing between his family and a really good year. And then it happens. The rain starts to fall, and Lencho, he is absolutely overjoyed. He literally runs outside just to feel it on his skin, and the way he sees it is just beautiful. For him, these aren't just raindrops. Nope. To him, this is money falling from the sky, securing his entire future. But that moment of pure joy, it doesn't last. In fact, it's tragically short-lived. The weather takes the sudden, violent turn, and Lencho's beautiful dream is about to become an absolute nightmare. Yeah, that gentle rain, it completely transforms. Suddenly, these strong winds start howling, and then come these huge hailstones. I mean, massive. For a whole hour, the storm just rages, covering everything. His house, the hillside, and worst of all, his entire field of corn. When it's finally over, the devastation is just total. The whole field is white, like someone just dumped salt everywhere. Not one leaf is left on the corn stalks. And you can just feel his pain when he tells his sons the grim reality. Everything is gone. So, you can imagine that dark, sorrowful night. All his hard work completely wiped out. But here's the thing about Lencho. His spirit isn't completely broken. Not at all. He clings to this one single powerful belief. No one dies of hunger. Why? Because God sees everything. And his response to this total ruin is, well, it's pretty extraordinary. Lencho, who remember is a farmer who knows how to write, he decides he's going to take his problem to the highest authority imaginable. He sits down and he writes a letter, straight to God. He explains the whole situation and asks for 100 pesos so he can plant his fields again and feed his family. So Lencho takes his letter, addresses it simply to God, and drops it in the mail. And this, right here, is where the story takes a huge turn. His incredible act of faith is about to collide with the real world, and it sparks a truly remarkable human response. Okay, so a postman finds the letter. And of course, he just starts laughing hysterically. I mean, he's never seen an address like to God in his entire career. He takes it to his boss, the postmaster, who also starts laughing. But then something changes. His laughter just stops. He gets really serious because he's suddenly struck by the raw, unshakable faith of whoever wrote this. You see, the postmaster is facing this really deep question. He's so moved that he actually says out loud, "I wish I had the faith of the man who wrote this letter." He just feels like he can't let that kind of trust be shattered. But what do you do? What do you do with a faith that's so pure, so simple, that it doesn't really factor in how the real world works? So he comes up with a plan. He decides he's going to answer the letter himself. But he pretty quickly realizes that, good intentions aren't going to cut it. Lencho needs cold, hard cash. So the postmaster digs into his own pocket, gives up part of his salary, and goes around collecting money from his employees and some friends, calling it an act of charity. Now, even with everyone pitching in, they couldn't quite get the full 100 pesos Lencho asked for. They managed to scrape together a little more than half, just 70 pesos. So the postmaster puts the money in an envelope, addresses it to Lencho, and signs the letter inside with just one single, powerful word: God. All right, fast forward to the next Sunday. Lencho shows up at the post office, calm as can be. He's about to get the reply he fully expects to get. And this, my friends, is where the story delivers its absolutely brilliant and deeply ironic climax. So the postman hands him the letter, and the postmaster is watching from his office, feeling pretty good about this whole thing. But Lencho, he shows zero surprise, not even a flicker. His faith is so total that, yeah, getting a letter from God, that's just a normal part of his week, apparently.
But that confidence, it vanishes and turns straight to anger the second he counts the money. He sees there are only 70 pesos inside, not the 100 he asked for. And that 30 peso difference, well, that's where the whole thing takes its final ironic turn.
Okay, so try to get inside Lencho's head for a minute. For him, there was absolutely no way God could have made a mistake. God wouldn't miscount, and God certainly wouldn't have shortchanged him. So, if the money isn't all there, there has to be another explanation, right?
He doesn't even hesitate. He marches right up to the window, demands paper and ink, and starts furiously writing a second letter. You can just picture him, his brow all wrinkled with anger and concentration. And when he's done, he buys a stamp and just slams it onto the envelope with a punch of his fist. He is not happy. The moment Lencho is out the door, the postmaster, who's been dying of curiosity, opens the letter. And what does he read? Lencho is thanking God for the money, but he says 30 pesos are missing. And his conclusion? It must have been stolen by the bunch of crooks who work at the post office, the very people who actually helped him.
And there it is. That is the incredible, painful irony at the heart of this story. So, what are we supposed to take away from this simple but, man, really profound tale? Let's break down the 3 big lessons it seems to be offering. First, you've got the power of faith, right? Lencho's belief was so strong it literally moved people to act. But the story also makes you wonder, is that pure faith, or is it a kind of dangerous innocence that blinds him to reality? Second, there's the spirit of humanity. The postmaster's gesture is just genuinely kind. But you could also ask, was it a little bit condescending? Did it start as a joke that just turned into a project? The story doesn't really tell you. And finally, that biting irony. The very people who sacrifice their own money to help him get called crooks. It's this perfect, painful misunderstanding that happens when simple faith crashes into our complex world.
This story, man, it really sticks with you. Lencho's faith was strong enough to inspire incredible kindness, but it also made him completely blind to where that kindness came from. It really makes you think about that thin line between faith and just plain stubbornness. So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. What's the real value of a belief if it stops us from seeing the goodness in the actual human beings standing right in front of us?